Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Chance to Start Over Again by Kalokagathia. Luffy's dream came true, but what's the meaning of accomplishing his dream without his Nakama around? So he's going to go back and start over. Time travel, what else? I don't own anything. Member list. Taz Peterson, Yonko. Leilani Morris, Warlord. Garrick Russell, Warlord. Black Money _ Young Lion, Warlord. KSG PL4 YZ, Warlord. Adios.
Vibirian, Igaram coughs and works at his voice. Weren't you out cold from all the booze? Zoro asks as he sweat drops. Oh please, how could I let just drink and let my guard down, in a town that welcomes pirates? Talk about suspicious. Nami says as she jumps down in the ground, while Igaram is still working at his voice. I was only pretending to be drunk. Nami makes the length by her index and thumb. Yeah. Zoro says as turns away, sighing, while Igaram was still working at his voice. So, how about it? Can you guarantee us a reward of 1 billion belly, Mr. Head of the Royal Guard? Nami says as she pauses. Need I remind you that without our help? Nami grins. Your precious princess might die. You know? As Nami finishes, Igaram freezes like a solid figurine. I'm afraid I can't guarantee such an astronomical sum since I'm merely a single soldier, Igaram says as Nami sits down. Oh, Nami says as she raises an eyebrow. Are you saying that the princess of your kingdom is worth less than 1 billion belly? Nami asks as Igaram freezes once again. Pay up. Nami adds as she grins. Talk about an extortion. Zoro says as she looks at Nami, sweat dropping at the same time. Igaram coughs. In that case, I'm sure that as long as you return the princess safely back to our lands, you can directly negotiate with her yourself, and receive that much money, Igaram shouts even after being beaten up badly. So basically, you're telling us to save her first, Nami says as she frowns a little and at the same time, sweat forming in her forehead. There's no time for negotiating, Igaram shouts, surprising Nami. Even now, as we speak, the princess's life is in danger. Igaram adds as Nami stands up when he was finished. Fine. We'll save your little princess first. Nami says as she sighs. Alright then. Nami points towards the path where Vivi ran. Go. Zoro's jaw drops, surprised. Why should I go? Zoro pauses as Nami raises her eyebrow. Why'd I have to help you with your dirty money-making schemes? Oh, don't be stupid, you. Nami pauses as she points at Zoro. My money may be mine alone, but a contract I make is a contract for our whole crew, Nami says, making a hurt tone. What kind of retarded logic is that? How old are you? Zoro yells as he gets a tick of annoyance in his forehead. What's the big fuss? All I'm asking you is to go cut up a few bad guys. As Nami argues, the two exchanged words. While I hate being used by others, Zoro pauses. I'm not a tool like that idiot cook. Oh, I get it. You're only saying that because you don't think you can win, right? What did you say? I dare you to say that again. You're only saying that because you don't think you can win, right? Oh, you did not just say that again, aren't you forgetting something? Nami says as she puts her left hand on her hips. You know you still owe me, right? Huh? Zoro crosses his arms. No I don't. Back at Logia Town. I lent you 100,000 belly so you could buy your swords. Nami says as Zoro gets a tick of annoyance again. Yeah, and Luffy said that you have to share, so that means you gave it for free. And I got my swords for free, so I didn't use any of your money. Zoro says as Nami sighs, making it look like Zoro was in the wrong. Yes, but Luffy said to share. I shared you the 100,000. But, I said at 300% interest. So you owe me 200,000 belly. Luffy didn't say anything about share the whole money, right? Nami says as she shakes her head like she was disappointed at Zoro. Flashback, I do have something I want to buy too, but Zoro glances at Nami who grinned at him. I'll happily lend you some money. At 300% interest, that is. Nami says as Zoro sighs. Luffy goes to them and pats and ruffles Nami's hair. Nami, share with your nakama, okay? We'll get more money along the way. Luffy lectures as Nami pouts but agrees. Present, but you got your money back right away, so isn't fine? Zoro asks while Nami crosses her arms. No, Nami bluntly says as Zoro widens his eyes. Wah? Zoro says as he was surprised. Nami looks at him with a disappointed face. Are you saying, Nami pauses, frowning, that you can't even keep a single promise? Nami pauses as Zoro's face was already saying that he was close to snapping at Nami. Now if you do as I say, we'll call it even, okay? Damn you. You're not going to have a peaceful death, you hear? Zoro yells, storming off. True, I'll probably go to hell when I die, Nami says, honestly believing Zoro's words. Curse my uselessness. Zoro yells as he was out of sight. Nami looks at Igaram, who is still on the ground. If only I were stronger, Igaram pauses, I could protect the princess. Don't worry, Nami says, comforting Igaram. That guy just now is monstrously strong. Nami adds, believing at Zoro fully. If anything were to happen to the princess, Igaram pauses, taking a sharp inhale of breath and sweats forming. It seems like Nami's comforts had no effect on him. Then it would be the end of our kingdom. She must survive no matter what. Nami widens her eyes, surprised by Igaram's seriousness. I fought Zoro that time because I had a little misunderstanding about the situation, but it's different now. Luffy says to himself as he rolls up his sleeve, making an encouraged expression. First, I'm gonna take all the things we need here. All of the important things in this island. Luffy says as he starts running. Then next, I'm gonna do something about me fighting Zoro. Luffy says as he starts running. I found her, Miss Valentine yells as Vivi turns back to see the two. Faster, Karoo. Vivi shouts as Karoo quacks and speeds up. There's a docked ship behind the cactus rock that we can escape on. Kyahahaha. Miss Valentine laughs, her feet touching the box. She just fell down slowly. Such a futile struggle. Mr. Five says, walking while Karoo keeps running. Vivi spots one of the Baroque Works member. Miss Monday. Vivi shouts as Miss Monday points at her back using her left index thumb, and her right hand has a long and wide wood. Go on, Miss Monday pauses, get past here and you should be able to escape on the boat. Vivi widens her eyes. As for these guys, I'll do my best to stop them. But Vivi stops as she passes Miss Monday. Now go, Miss Monday shouts as Vivi looks forward. She doesn't want for her friend's sacrifice to go to waste. Thank you, Vivi shouts as Mr. Five sighs. First Mr. Nine and now you too, Miss Monday, Mr. Five says as he rolls up his sleeves. Kyahaha, what a joke, Miss Valentine says as she grins. You disgrace, Mr. Five frowns, the name of NGH, Miss Monday raises the wood, preparing for an attack. Baroque Works. Mr. Five suddenly attacks Miss Monday's face with his elbow, explosion along with it. Miss Monday goes down with fire on her face. While Mr. Five passes Miss Monday, his arms with fire. GUH, Vivi looks back, seeing her friend fall down with the fire. I'm a human bomb that can make any part of my body explode. Mr. Five pauses as he uses his left index finger to take a booger in his left nose. With this ability bestowed upon me, by the Bomu Bomu no Mi, Bomb Fruit, there's not a single mission I've failed at. Karoo speeds up as Mr. Five positions himself to do the nose fancy cannon. You can't run away from us. Mr. Five puts his booger in place, targeting Vivi, nose fancy. Mr. Five takes a sharp inhale of breath. Cannon. He flicks the booger towards Vivi at an incredible speed. When it was nearing Vivi, Zoro shows up and cuts the booger in half with his Wado Ichimonji, crossed-legged and his weight on the Wado, him in the air. The moment the booger was cut in half, Zoro lands himself in the path behind Vivi and Zoro fell down, which Vivi hasn't noticed yet. Mr. Bushido, Vivi shouts in surprise as she thought Zoro was an enemy too. As she turns around to flee, the road was, she notices the path was blocked. Who's he? Mr. Five says, pretty much annoyed that someone in. Zoro stands up, looking disgusted. I can't believe I had to cut a freaking booger. Zoro yells as he looks at Wado. Damn it. Vivi looks at Zoro with hostile. She takes out her peacock slasher in her right hand. He might be one of her Luffy niece crew member, but they don't know that the two knew each other. She was sure of it. Why do you have to come and block my way of all times? Vivi says to Zoro, who takes the peacock slasher away from her. Calm down, I've come to save you. Zoro says calmly as Vivi widens her eyes. Wah, save me. Vivi asks like she didn't believe a word he said, most probably. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Hey. Nami pauses as she sits at the near barrel. So what exactly is Baroque Works? Nami asks as Igaram was still laying down on the ground. It's a criminal organization in which not a single member knows the name nor the identity of our boss. Igaram pauses. Under the boss's orders, we carry out tasks ranging from intelligence gathering, assassination, robbery, and bounty hunting. Why do the members of Baroque Works bother to listen to this boss, when they don't even know his name or identity? Nami asks again, interested at the current subject. The final objective of Baroque Works is the creation of an ideal nation. Igaram responds as he breaths, those who bring success to our organization, shall be granted with high-ranking positions in this ideal nation by the boss. I see, Nami says as she sighs. The boss goes by the code name, Mr. 0 Feet, the lower an official agent's number is, the higher their status will be in this ideal nation. Igaram pauses as he gets tenser. But more importantly, the stronger they will be as well, especially for agents with number 5 or less, their strength is abnormal. As the two kept quiet, Igaram suddenly remembers something. Ah, your captain. Nami raises an eyebrow. How come the topic suddenly changed to Luffy? Flashback. I fought Zoro that time because I had a little misunderstanding about the situation. But it's different now. Luffy says to himself as he rolls up his sleeve, making an encouraged expression. First, I'm gonna take all the things we need here. All of the important things in this island. Luffy says as he starts running. Then next, I'm gonna do something about me fighting Zoro. Luffy says as he starts running. Present, I got everything done and there's still time so, Luffy says as he sighs. I never thought it'd be so troublesome trying to make things done at the same time. Oh, you're that swordsman who defeated all the low-ranking agents in this town, aren't you? Miss Valentine says as Mr. Five crosses his arms. Why would someone like you be trying to Alabasta's princess? Mr. Five asks as Vivi and Karoo keeps quiet. I have my own circumstances, Zoro says as he remembers Nami's words. Well, whatever, you're in our way in any case. Mr. Five says as he uncrosses his arms. Kyahaha. That's right. Miss Valentine pauses as she holds her hat. Since you're in our way. Miss Valentine takes off her hat, grinning. Allow me to bury your face under the ground with my ability. Zoro. Luffy yells as the other looks at him. What is it this time? Miss Valentine asks, looking at Luffy, who is grinning and no one knows why the hell he's grinning at the current situation. Luffy, Zoro says as he grins. What is it? If it's about help, then I don't need it. Zoro pauses. Or do you owe that woman something as well? Zoro. Time for training. Luffy shouts as he grins like a madman. On the other hand, Zoro was ready to blow his mind off. What? Zoro shouts, not believing what Luffy just said. What kind of idiotic things are you spouting again? It's not idiotic. Get ready, Zoro, Luffy shouts as Zoro flinches. Wait a minute. Why now? Zoro shouts as Luffy laughs. How could you laugh at this kind of situation? Vivi asks to no one as she sweat drops. You can train every time. There's no need to worry about things like time. A true swordsman has to be ready at all times. Luffy shouts as he positions himself. Looks like he's a friend of that swordsman. What an annoying bunch. Mr. Five says as he puts his hands on his jacket's pockets. Kyahaha. Let's just kill them off already. Miss Valentine pauses. After all, anyone who interferes with our missions must be eliminated. Luffy, listen to me. This training Zoro gets cut off as Luffy immediately shows up in front of him. His left fist curled up. I couldn't see him. Don't make any excuses, Luffy yells as Zoro's eyes widen. What? Zoro shouts as he barely dodges Luffy's punch, which not only broke the wall but the walls after that. Are you trying to kill me? This is only training, and I held back, Luffy shouts as he grins. I should have held back more. Luffy proceeds to kick with his right leg, which Zoro avoided. Wah! Zoro turns blue as he panics. Hey, just listen to what I'm saying. Zoro barely avoids as he turns to left, avoiding Luffy's head. Hey, Zoro pants. Damn it, I don't think this is even training. I feel like he's seriously gonna killing me. Mr. Five, Miss Valentine sweat drops. It seems those two aren't actually interfering with our business. Miss Valentine says as Zoro barely dodges left punch. It seems so, Miss Valentine. Mr. Five pauses. Then shall we resume carrying our mission? The two looks at Vivi. Of eliminating the Princess of Alabasta? Mr. Five and Miss Valentine suddenly runs towards Vivi. Move on out, Miss Valentine. Roger, Mr. Five. Miss Valentine responds with a grin. Just calm down for a damn second. Zoro yells as he kicks Luffy, which made Luffy get pushed away, forcing Mr. Five and Miss Valentine to get pushed forcefully and hardly to a house, breaking the wall. He actually received it. What the hell? That retard. As Zoro had the time to think a little, he finally got it. He actually received it to save the princess. He really is a retard. It appears you two are interfering with our mission, after all. Mr. Five pauses as he was standing after the impact. Since you want to kill each other so much. Geez, Miss Valentine frowns. She was bruised and was on the ground. What the heck was that? Allow us to do you a favor by killing you. Mr. Five says as he rearranges his glasses. Sounds good. Nope, Mr. Five adds as he pulls up his right sleeve, looking at Luffy, who is still grinning for some reason. The building where the three were exploded, which surprised Karoo and Vivi. Suddenly, Miss Valentine shows up in the air. I've had enough. Let me kill you off already. Miss Valentine pauses. With my Kilo no Mi's ability, that is. Miss Valentine gets out of the smoke, revealing her grin. Kahahaha. Prepare yourselves. Right now. My weight is only 1 kilogram, allowing me to float just from the shockwave created by an explosion. But now Miss Valentine pauses as she positions herself on the air to hit Zoro. Mr. Bushido, swordsman. Watch out. That woman is. Vivi gets cut off by Zoro. Shut up, Zoro shouts as he faces where Luffy flew. Wah. Vivi gets surprised at the sudden shout. I don't even have the time to listen to either of you two blabbering on and on. Zoro says as sweats were forming in his face, I don't even think this is training. Luffy shortly goes out with a beaten Mr. 5 on his right hand. Ah, that made for some good exercise. Luffy says as his grin was still on his face. Ready for the training, Zoro? That's Luffy knee for yo. Vivi stops as she freezes, oh no. I was too focused on how Luffy knee defeated Mr. 5 that I forgot I can't say his name here. Zoro looks at her with an eyebrow raised but soon shrugs it off, which made Vivi sigh in relief. Luffy, just calm down and listen to me. Zoro pauses, first of all, this training is so out of place and that witch gave me a mission to protect this princess so. Don't ignore me, Miss Valentine shouts as she was being ignored. Meaning, Kantoro asks as Luffy gives him a disappointed look, which really reminded Zoro of Nami and made him annoyed because of it. Zoro, Luffy pauses as he puts his hands on his hips, making an I am right look. Expect the unexpected. Luffy finishes as Zoro's jaw dropped down until the ground. Hello? Are you listening? My ability allows me to freely change my weight, from 1 kg to 10,000 kg in the blink of an eye. Miss Valentine shouts, as she was still being ignored. Eat this. 10,000 kg press. Zoro simply turns to his left to avoid the fall. Seems like you just won't listen to anything I have to say, Zoro says as he ties his haramaki to his head. You simple-minded idiot, Zoro shouts as he squeezes his haramaki, making sure it won't fall. But if you're going to get serious, so will I, just don't complain after I kill you. Fine by me. Luffy shouts as Zoro readies his Wado Ichimonji. Wait a second, Vivi pauses, looking troubled. What's going on, aren't you two crewmates? Oni, Zoro crosses his two swords across his chest and places Wado Ichimonji in his mouth horizontally behind them. Giri, Demon Slash. When Zoro was at Luffy's hand's length, Luffy simply flicks the center of the sword, causing Zoro to crash on a house. What do? I don't want to stop Luffy knee since he won't stop once he's made his decision, Vivi says to herself as Karoo quacks. As Karoo starts to slowly walk, Zoro suddenly stands up, attacking Luffy, to no avail. He keeps attacking Luffy at different places and different techniques, only to fail. Karoo and Vivi had no choice but to stay on the sidelines. Curses, how dare those two make fools of us, Mr. 5 says as Miss Valentine was with him, on the sidelines, injured badly. Our pride as Baroque Works officer agents has been tainted, Mr. 5 says as he huffs. You're exactly right, Mr. 5, Miss Valentine pauses. So let us wash this humiliation by showing them the terror of our true strength. The two suddenly charges at Zoro and Luffy. Let's go, Miss Valentine. Roger, Mr. 5. Miss Valentine responds, and this time without her parasol. God, you two are annoying. Zoro and Luffy chorused as they look at the two with anger. The two freezes. The two starts to sweat badly, getting in the way of our training. Luffy and Zoro shout as the two was easily beaten by Zoro and Luffy. So damn annoying, Zoro says as the two Baroque Works member flies out of the way. Who the hell were they, anyway? Luffy asks, to not let anyone give any hints. Amazing, Luffy knee and Mr. Bushido were able to beat them in one hit. Luffy knee must have trained them. Vivi whispers to no one as she soon lights up. Should we continue then? Zoro says as he looks at Luffy, who looks at him too. Yeah. Luffy says as Zoro takes a position and attempts to hit Luffy. Stop it. Nami suddenly shouts as he punches Luffy and Zoro. Though, Luffy dodges it as he takes steps backward for a little. Zoro though, was unfortunate to feel the punch of Nami. Vivi stayed quiet as she saw all of the crazy things that happened. Just what the heck do you think you're doing? Nami shouts as he sighs, putting her hands on her hips. Well, in any case, I guess I should at least be glad that the girl is safe. Suddenly, Nami clutches Zoro's shirt, shaking him again and again. But you were about to cost me my 1 billion belly, do you understand? Why only me? Zoro thought as he ignored Nami. What are you people talking about? Vivi asks as Nami turns to her. And why did you save me? Ah, that's right. Nami pauses as she crosses her arms. You don't know anything yet, how would you like to make a contract with me? Nami says as Zoro calms down. It was only a training after all. A contract? Vivi repeats as Nami nods. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Nah. Luffy's laugh was heard as Zoro gets a tick mark. So you found out. And here I thought I was doing it quite well. You could have helped me in a different way. Zoro yells at Luffy once again, then annoying Zoro again. Well, at least I taught you some things. Luffy says as he grins at Zoro, who only sighed. I refuse, Vivi bluntly says as she pauses, but you have my gratitude for saving me just now. What, why? Nami asks, her eyebrow raising. You're a princess, right? A billion belly should be like nothing for a princess. Have you heard of a kingdom called Alabasta? Vivi asks as Nami places her weight right side. No, can't say that I have. Nami responds as she once again crosses her arms. It's a civilized country within the Grand Line, and it used to be a peaceful one at that too. Vivi pauses, long ago. Long ago? Nami repeats as she uncrosses her arms. It seemed to interest her. The past few years have been mired by revolutionary activities. Due to radical Alabastan revolutionaries, my country is currently in a state of chaos. Vivi pauses. One day, I happened to hear of a certain organization. That organization was Baroque Works. Apparently, it was Baroque Works who had been instigating the revolutionaries. Vivi pauses as she looks at her lap. But other than that fact, I didn't anything else nor could I do anything about Baroque Works. And so, I made a request to Igaram, who's been watching over me ever since I was a kid. You mean that guy with the chakua hair? Zoro asks as Vivi continues like no one interrupted him. Even though what I had heard may or may not just be a rumor, I asked Igaram if there were any way I could infiltrate Baroque Works. Vivi pauses, because that would be the only way to clear away the dark shadow that looms over Alabasta and determine just what exactly is Baroque Works' objective once and for all. Well, aren't you a brave princess? Zoro says as he leans on a box. So what exactly is the deal with this creation of an ideal nation that Baroque Works is apparently scheming towards? Nami asks before she widens her eyes. Wait, don't tell me. Vivi's grip in her hands tightens. Yes, it's as much as you might suspect. Although the boss has hinted at a goal of creating an ideal nation, the three notices the sweats forming in her face. Baroque Works' true objective is to take over the kingdom of Alabasta. And if I don't hurry back to my home country to stop the revolutionaries and tell the people about Baroque Works, things will go exactly as they planned. I see. Nami pauses. I guess that explains why you refused. A country in the middle of a civil strife wouldn't have any money to spare. So who is this boss dude anyways? Luffy asks as Vivi makes a panicked face and makes a hand gesture. You mean the boss's true identity? Please don't ask me. In fact, you're better off not knowing. Luffy ni. Vivi shouts as she keeps shaking her hand side to side. If you knew, Baroque Works would come and hunt you down. Luffy ni? Zoro asked in his thoughts as it was the second time he heard that. Though, Nami knew it since Igaram explained it to her. Ha ha ha. Yeah, just leave us out of it. Nami says as she laughs. I mean, a guy who's planning to take over an entire country must be one incredibly dangerous person. Yes, exactly. No matter how strong you pirates may be, you'd be no match for Crocodile, a member of the Oka Shichibukai, Royal Seven Warlords of the Sea. As soon as Vivi finished, Nami and Vivi made a horrified face. Luffy held his laugh by covering his mouth. And Zoro's sweat dropped. Didn't you just say his name? Zoro says as the unluckies were seen. All of them stayed quiet, except Luffy's muffled laughs, as they look at the unluckies, who looked at each other first before leaving. What was that bird and otter just now? Nami yelled as she gripped Vivi's clothes and shakes her back and forth. I'm sorry. Vivi repeats again and again as the two cries comically. A Shichibukai, Luffy says cheerfully as he grins. Hey, not bad, Zoro says as he grins with Luffy. Did they go to report that you've told US the boss's secret? Well, what's gonna happen to US now? Nami yells as there were sweats forming all over her. I am really sorry, it just accidentally slipped out, Vivi says as she keeps getting shook by Nami. You think saying it accidentally makes this any better? Why do we have to become hunted because of a single slip up from you? Nami yells as she releases Vivi. We just barely entered the Grand Line and we already have a Shichibukai chasing after us, Nami says as she wipes her tears away. Yeah, we're really lucky to be able to meet him so early, Zoro says as he was grinning along with Luffy. I wonder what kind of guy he is, Luffy asks to no one as he laughs a little. Shut up, you two, Nami yells as she points at the two. It's been a really short time traveling with you but bye, Nami shouts as she storms off. Where are y'all going, Nami? Luffy asks as he turns to Nami. They don't know my face yet so I'm running away, Nami responds as she leaves, only to find the unluckies drawing something. After a while, the unluckies show their drawing of Nami, Zoro, and Luffy. It was really finely drawn that Nami clapped in amazement. Wow, you're good. After that, the unluckies flew away. Now I can't even run away. Sorry. Vivi says as she sweat drops. Interesting bunch, those animals. Luffy says as Nami comes back to them. Where were you even planning to run away to? Zoro asks as he sweat drops. Shortly, he grins in excitement. In any case, with this, all three of us are now on Baroque's hit list. This is really exciting, Luffy says as he grins with his eyes closed, and I get to meet Robin again. I have 500,000 in my savings account that you can have though, Vivi says to Nami, who is sulking, attempting to at least comfort her. Fear not, Igaram suddenly shows up, wearing clothes like Vivi's and 3 bags with faces. It'll be Ari. Igaram pauses to work on his voice. It'll be alright. I have a plan. Igaram, what's with that outfit? Vivi asks as she was really surprised. Whoa, you can definitely pull off a look, Igaram, Luffy says jokingly, but to everyone, it seemed true, since Luffy was Luffy. I'm surrounded by idiots, Nami says in the background as she keeps sulking. Enough about that and just listen to me. Igaram says as he sighs. Once the Baroque Works network learns of what happened, they'll be sure to send pursuers right away. More so, since Yoi's partner, Igaram pauses. Just to let you know, although the boss has no bounty on him since he's now a member of the Shichibukai, back in his heydays as a pirate, Crocodile had an 80 million belly bounty. Igaram soon comes near them. By the way, have you decided on whether or not to safely escort the princess back to Alabasta yet, Luffy-sama? Huh? What are you talking about? Luffy says as he tilts his head to the side. Though it was only a joke, he had to be Luffy, because Luffy is Luffy. And Zoro, once again, was confused. He means he wants us to take her back home. Zoro says as he points at Vivi with his thumb. He decided to ask why they're calling Luffy like they knew each other, later. Oh, sure. Fine by me. Luffy says nonchalantly. 80 million. That's 4 times Arlong's bounty. Just refuse his request. Nami yells as there were still tears in her eyes. Now then, princess. Igaram pauses. Please hand me the eternal pose to Alabasta. Huh? What's an eternal pose? Nami asks while tears were still falling. You don't know, Igaram says, surprised. Igaram glances at Luffy, who grinned innocently at him. Simply put, it's a log pose that can eternally record a magnetic field. Igaram pauses. A normal log pose records the magnetic field of island to island. Magically, an eternal pose shows up in Igaram's right hand. However, the magnetic field recorded by an eternal pose is never forgotten. No matter where you go, it will only point to that very island. That is what an eternal pose is. Igaram looks at the eternal pose in his hand. This one, in particular, has recorded the magnetic field of Alabasta. Igaram pauses. Now then, Princess Vivi. I shall take this log pose and set forth to Alabasta, while dressing up as you and taking these 3 dummies to represent these 3 wanted pirates. And while the agent of Baroque Works chases after me, you are to travel on the normal route to Alabasta on their ship. Then I'll have to think of what to do after this. Luffy thought as was still grinning, hiding his thoughts. I haven't sailed to Alabasta using the normal route myself, but there should be around 2 to 3 logs to record along the way. Igaram pauses. Take care, and may we meet again. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P. I hereby leave the princess on her care. Igaram says as there was a small ship behind him with the 3 dummies on board. The 5 of them were on the coast, with Nami leaning on the rock behind her. I bet you'll totally fool them, Luffy says jokingly as he laughs, though no one took it as a joke from Luffy. Fool who? Zoro asks jokingly, thinking Luffy was too stupid. The journey ahead of you may be dangerous, so please be careful, Igaram says as he shakes hands with Vivi, ignoring Luffy's statement. You too, Igaram, Vivi says as she smiles. After that, Igaram sails, leaving the others behind. Ah, he left, Luffy says while looking at the ship. Igaram was such a funny guy though, I'd like him to stay more, Luffy says jokingly. He's always been so dependable, Vivi says with a smile, remembering Igaram's words. Farewell, Princess Vivi. I have complete confidence that you'll be able to save our kingdom, Igaram thought as he smiles. When the fore was ready to go away, the ship suddenly blew up by an explosion. A large one to boot. It can't be. Nami mutters in disbelief as the others watched silently. Pursuers, already. Luffy takes a deep breath. Nami. How's the log? Luffy suddenly shouted, surprising Nami. I had finished recording, Nami says as she looks at her log pose. Then let's hurry up and get going. Zoro shouts as Nami nods before looking at Vivi, who stayed looking at the scene right in front of her. Vivi, we have to hurry up, Nami yells, putting her hand on Vivi's left shoulder. If they find us now, Igaram's sacrifice would be in vain. Nami widens her eyes when Vivi bit her lips. This girl is strong, Nami thought as she hugged Vivi. It's alright. I promise we'll safely get you back to Alabasta. Luffy, go wake those 2 up and bring them back to the ship. Zoro pauses as the 2 runs. I'll be going to head to the ship first. Those 4 managed to save all of East Blue all by themselves. Nami says she was comforting Vivi. Alright, just leave it to me, Luffy says as the 2 goes to the opposite direction. Even a Shichibukai won't stand a chance against them. Sanji wakes up, feeling that someone was carrying him. Sanji slowly opens his eyes to see a straw hat and black hair. Oh, he was being carried in the back, what? Luffy shushes him. We're close, don't wake Usopp up. Luffy whispers to him as he turns. Sanji sighs and just relaxes, though there was a part of him that wants to get off. Luffy smelled of the sea. It was a nice smell. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Hurry Vivi! Nami shouts as they ran. Though, Vivi's face looked troubled. Karu's not here, Vivi thought as he kept looking everywhere. While on the boat, Zoro pulled the anchor at ease. He senses Luffy with the two. He turns to see two sleeping Sanji and Usopp. He had to hold back a laugh because it looked incredibly ridiculous. Luffy uses Geppo and goes down towards the deck, making sure it was a gentle landing. He soon puts down the two, making sure that it won't wake them up. We don't have the time to go look for him, Nami shouts as Luffy facepalms. So much for his hard work. Sanji and Usopp slowly wake up, though Usopp was more shocked. But I can't just leave him here, Vivi shouts back, though she turned quiet the more she talked. What's wrong? Zoro asks while behind him. Luffy was explaining the whole story to Sanji and Usopp. She says her duck is missing and won't come even after whistling, Nami says as sweats were forming more on her face. You mean him? Zoro calmly says as he points on his left, showing Karu, alive and well. Karu quacked as he raised his right wing. He got on the boat even before me. That's where you were, both Vivi and Nami shouted in anger. Turn the boat around to head down this river and we should be able to reach the ocean, Vivi says as she got over it quickly, and entered going merry. We have to leave as quickly as possible. We're off, Zoro shouts as Mary turns. Hey, so how many guys are gonna come after us? Luffy asks as he punched Sanji and Usopp, who was complaining before. I can't say for sure. Vivi pauses as she turns to Luffy. There's reportedly 2,000 people working for Baroque Works, and towns like Whiskey Peak aren't uncommon either. You mean we could have 1,000 people after us? Nami shouts in disbelief as she widens her eyes. It's possible considering how serious knowing the boss's real identity is. Vivi responds calmly as she unconsciously moved near Luffy, which made them surprise. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O while on the fire. There was a shadow of a woman sitting on top of a rock-like place. How foolish, the woman says, a smirk seen on her face, thinking a decoy would work. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. The fog is lifting. Vivi says as all of them looks on their surroundings. Except for Luffy, who is cooking his own meat. Not even Sanji knew because he locked the door, to eat it all by himself. It's almost morning. Be careful not to crash your ship into the rocks near the shore. A woman says as she taps her face with her finger, and congratulations on your escape. Wah! Zoro takes a swift turn, automatically gripping his Wado. He was just taking a little break, then now this happens. I relaxed too soon. What a nice ship this is, the woman says, sitting on top of the hand railing. Who's that? Nami shouts as she was stunned. Luffy, who just got out in the kitchen, looked amused as he was behind her. I must tell you Miss Wednesday, I met up with Mr. 8 just a little while ago, the woman says with a dark look on her. Are you saying? Vivi pauses, her face filled with anger and shock. It was you who did that to Igaram. Sneaking on a pirate's ship is dangerous, you know? Luffy says as he goes down. The two looked at each other, though Luffy was the first one to break eye contact. It was hard for him to not hug Robin right on the spot and cry. It was such a long time and he wanted to save Robin as fast as he can. Robin was stunned for a second. In Luffy's eyes, there was worry and he looked like he was about to cry in happiness as she saw a little twitch of upwards in the lips. Robin decided to let it go, thinking that she was hallucinating, but she'd put that on the side of her brain just in case. What are you doing all the way out here? Vivi pauses as she takes a sharp inhale of breath, Miss All Sunday. Nico Robin is a tall, slender woman with shoulder-length black hair. She has eyes with dark, wide pupils. She also has a long, thin, and defined nose. She wore a skimpy cowgirl outfit consisting of a purple cleavage exposing corset and matching miniskirt, both with white ornaments hanging from them, and a white fur-lined coat paired with a white cowboy hat and white high-heeled boots. Who is it this time? Whose partner is she? Nami shouts as she looks at Vivi. She's Mr. Zero's partner. Vivi pauses as she didn't stop looking at Miss All Sunday warily. She's the only one who knows the boss's true identity, which is why Igaram and I tailed after her, to find out who the boss was as well. Well, technically, it was more like I let you tail after me, Miss All Sunday says as she keeps her face still. Zoro looks at Luffy, who looked at him with a raised eyebrow. You know how to use haki. Why the hell didn't you warn us? Zoro says telepathically with Luffy, who just turned away, whistling. Which made him angry. He didn't know why, but if Luffy did that, Miss All Sunday may not be big of a threat. I already knew that, Vivi shouts, anger in her tone. And I bet you're the one who told the boss that his identity was leaked. Luffy kept quiet in the side, letting Vivi take out her frustration. Now, no need to get so worked up. I only let you follow me because you looked so desperate. Miss All Sunday grins lightly, and it was too amusing to observe. A single princess who foolishly thinks she can take on the entire Baroque Works organization and save her kingdom. It looked like Vivi snapped. She looked like she can't hold herself anymore. Take care, and may we meet again in our homeland. Don't you underestimate me. Vivi shouts in anger. And suddenly, Sanji was on the second floor, a gun in his hands, while Usopp was on the left side, pointing his slingshot at Miss All Sunday. Zoro halfway unsheathed his Wado, and there was Vivi, surprised and stunned. "Hey," Usopp starts as his sweat was starting to form. "Do you understand what's going on?" "No," Sanji says with a serious face, "but what I do know for sure, is that this woman's a threat to my lovely Miss Wednesday." Miss All Sunday closes her eyes and it almost looked like she was going to sigh. "Would you please mind?" "Wah!" Usopp shouts as he suddenly gets flung magically the same way Sanji got flung. "Not pointing such dangerous weapons at me." Miss All Sunday continues as if no one interrupted her and with no fear in her tone. "Ah!" Sanji shouts as the weapons he and Usopp had got taken away from their grasps. "What?" Zoro shouted in disbelief. He didn't feel any haki from the woman and he saw hands sprouting just a second that he thought he was hallucinating. "It's a devil fruit," Vivi shouts as Nami just stood in disbelief and shock. Luffy runs to catch Sanji and Usopp, not letting them get hurt. Unnecessary damage isn't needed. "Wah!" Nami and Zoro's weapon clattered in the deck at the same time where Luffy caught them. "Ah!" Zoro shouts as he felt pain where he held the Wado Ichimonji. Thanks, Luffy," Usopp says as he stands up in fear, automatically hiding behind the main mast. Luffy's sweat dropped but nodded. "What ability does she have?" Zoro shouts as he looks menacingly at Miss All Sunday. "Whoa, she's a real beauty," Sanji shouts unnecessary compliment, ignoring Luffy who caught him. Foo, no need to get so riled up." Miss All Sunday pauses, ignoring Zoro's menacing look. "I haven't come here on any orders nor do I have any reasons for fighting you people." Zoro and Nami watch in horror as Luffy's straw hat flies to Miss All Sunday. Miss All Sunday's calm face turned to shock as Luffy was suddenly behind her, Luffy's right hand in his hand lightly and his other hand on his straw hat. "You know, I don't like it when people take my straw hat away," Luffy says with a grin as Miss All Sunday looks at him with shock before returning to her normal facade. Luffy soon lets go of Miss All Sunday's hand and goes down with his nakama. Miss All Sunday didn't think that something like that would happen, especially with people who just entered Grand Line. Or did they just came back? Overall, Miss All Sunday thought that the straw hat was a threat. "For entertaining me like that, I'll give you all a little reward." Miss All Sunday pauses. The name of the next place on her journey is. Miss All Sunday grins lightly once again. "Little garden. Even if I weren't to lay a single finger on you, it's more than likely that you'd still never reach Alabasta, without even meeting Crocodile. The curtains will close on your mission and lives." "Don't think so. Besides, that was a little rude," Luffy says, not a hint of anger and sadness in his tone. Miss All Sunday looks at him once again, finding Luffy quite amusing. "Yeah, how dare you, why you big meanie," Usopp shouted as Zoro's sweat dropped. "How old are you?" Zoro asks jokingly to Usopp, who ignored him. "Enough howling, anyone could put up a brave front," Miss All Sunday says as she flicks something towards Vivi. Yet to know the difficulty that lies ahead and still rush in is an act fit for only fools. "An eternal pose," Vivi shouts in disbelief as she looks at Miss All Sunday in both doubt and anger. "You'll be able to keep right over your future troubles with that." The needle of that log pose points to the uninhabited, vacant islands, located right before Alabasta. Miss All Sunday pauses. "Moreover, the route you'll be navigating on is unknown to Baroque Works, so you won't be followed by anyone either." "What? Is she not a bad person then?" Nami naively asks as she looks at Miss All Sunday. Why would you give such a thing to me?" Vivi shouts, her anger surpassing doubt while her theory of it being a trap raised up. "It's probably a trap," Zoro says lazily, despite his guards up. "Oh, I wonder about that," Miss All Sunday says, testing them. "What should I do? I don't want to accept this log pose from her of all people, but picking the safest and surest route is critical," Vivi thought as she frowns. "Vivi, enough wasting time with that," Luffy says as he takes the eternal pose away from Vivi, crushing it in his hands with eyes that look like the eternal pose did something to him that made him hate it for the rest of his life. Nami attempts punching Luffy in the stomach. "Are you an idiot?" which she failed at. Her angered eyes turned into shock as she got eye contact with Luffy's angered eyes and frown, which she really didn't like. "Don't you dare think," Luffy says as Nami steps back the same way everyone did, except Miss All Sunday, who was surprised that someone who was so easygoing some time ago had a voice like that. "That you can choose the path of our journey," Luffy shouts as his heart stung for shouting at his soon-to-be nakama. "I see," Miss All Sunday says as she returns to her. "How unfortunate." "Luffy," Nami shouts angrily at Luffy, who just huffed in return. "Well, I don't dislike bold men. Let us meet again if you survive," Miss All Sunday says as she stands up, looking at Luffy. Luffy stays quiet, making Miss All Sunday laugh quietly. Miss All Sunday leaves, jumping to a giant turtle. "Let's go, Banshee." Banshee is a turtle with a dark brown shell and a grayish-green underbelly. He has a depressed or bored look on his face. He is seen smoking a cigar, wears a horizontal striped white cowboy hat with a pink cloth that ties it to his head. Whoa, it's a turtle, Luffy says in a fake, surprised tone. What a huge turtle, though I've seen bigger. That woman, I don't have the faintest idea what she's really planning, Vivi says as she falls to her knees. Then it's a waste of time and effort to think about it, Nami says as she smiles, looking at Vivi with both of her hands on her waist. We've got an incomprehensible person like her on board too, you know, Zoro says as he leans on the mast with his arms crossed, looking at that certain person. Why yeah, Usopp agrees, hiding behind the mast for protection, even if it'll do no good. Are you really okay with me riding on your ship? I may be putting all of you into danger, Vivi says as Nami sighs. Oh please. Name pauses as she kneels down in front of Vivi, putting her pointing finger at Vivi's forehead strongly. It's already your fault that they found out about us and how we look like. Vivi's sweat fastly appears as Nami's eye scrunches a little. If you didn't want to trouble us, then you should have done so to begin with. I am sorry, Vivi says as she shakes a little from Nami's finger. Right, Luffy? Nami says as if no one interrupted her. She looks at Luffy with a grin, who only shrugged. Enough about that. Can someone tell me what's the relationship between Luffy and Vivi? Zoro says bluntly as all of them looked at Zoro. Well, it's a long story, Luffy says as he sits down. Also, it's morning, Sanji, time for breakfast. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Wait a minute, this means that you went to Grand Line before. Usopp says as his jaw drops to the ground, despite eating in the lounge. Yep, Luffy says nonchalantly before eating his food again. Wait, what do you mean by Igaram is still alive? Vivi shouts as Luffy ignores her. Though I only went as far as going to Water 7, then I went back to East Blue to pass the years, then I sailed again, which is now. Luffy says as Zoro raises his eyebrow. Is that when you asked us to become your nakama? Zoro asks while Luffy nodded. Wait, what do you mean by Igaram is still, Sanji, food? Don't shout, shitty rubber. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. The next day, Luffy was able to explain the whole thing that happened considering he only told them that they slept and fights were happening. I see, well that's a shame but I guess that also means that I've still got a chance to shine. Sanji pauses, looking at Vivi. So don't worry. Now that the sleeping prince has awoken, your safety is guaranteed. Wow, I'm glad I slept through all that, Usopp says as he was sweating a little bit. Are you jealous, Nami Swan? Sanji asks as he turns his head to Nami, who had her eyes closed and her arms crossed. Not really, Nami says bluntly as Luffy laughs. By the way, Sanji, you were used as a stepping stool by Zoro. Luffy says as Zoro turns to him, looking as if Luffy had two heads. Wait a minute, I couldn't sense you that time. What, how dare you, marimo. What, you wanna fight or something? I wonder if it's gonna snow. Luffy says randomly, looking at the sky, ignoring Zoro and Sanji who was fighting, only for it to end by Nami's fist. Vivi, do y'all think it'll snow more? Well, it's not like it never snows or anything, but that part of the Grand Line up to the very first island is special. Vivi pauses, the 7 magnetic fields that stretch from Reverse Mountain clash together to make things even more unpredictable, so you can't let your guard down even for a minute. Even though it would be quite rare to encounter such bizarre conditions once you pass the first island, the Grand Line is still by far the most difficult ocean to navigate on. So it's absolutely imperative that you never underestimate the sea. Anybody up for some special drinks? Sanji suddenly shouts, 5 drinks on a big orange tray. You bet we are, Luffy shouts as he was on a beach chair, Zoro in his left and Usopp in his right, even Karoo quacked. Are you sure things will be fine like this? Vivi shouts as she looks at Nami, who just got out in the lounge. Vivi points at the 5. I can't understand Luffy knee being easygoing but. It'll be fine. Nami says as she sips her own special drink. They'll work hard when we come across rough seas. It's not like they want to die or anything. Vivi's special drink. That's true, Vivi pauses, but at this rate, flashback. Luffy knee, you're cheating again, Vivi says as she pouts, the others say their words of agreement. That's right, we were on your back and you still found us, is your devil fruit really rubber? Yeah, she, I'm strong enough to know who's behind my back, and you guys should too, Luffy says while grinning. Present Vivi shakes her head. No, I don't have anything to worry about, Vivi says as she watches the 5. Oh, looks like this duck knows how to drink, Sanji says while grinning. Tastes good, right? Drink up, buddy, Karoo quacks in return. Hey, Usopp. Can you make us some fishing rods? Luffy asks while grinning brightly at Usopp. Fishing, eh? Not a bad idea, Zoro says, looking somewhere else to avoid Luffy's face. Gah, fine I will. Just stop grinning like that, Usopp shouts as Luffy only laughs. Being on this ship, Nami pauses as she grins, sure makes you lose the will to even worry, doesn't it? Vivi smiles and nods. Yes, it's quite relaxing, Vivi says as the birds caw behind her. Hey look, it's a dolphin, Sanji says as he sits in the railing, watching the dolphin. Oh, Luffy grins, holding his straw hat because of the strong wind. Oh, it's so see you, Nami wasn't able to finish her sentence as the dolphin jumped. It's freaking huge. Let's go, Luffy shouts with a grin on his face, raising his fists up in the air. Aye aye, Cap'n. Zoro and the others shout with a grin. Nami runs to the side and checks on the log pose. There's no doubt about it. Our next destination is, Nami pauses as the waves get calmer, that island. Woohoo! Luffy jumps in happiness as he leans in the railing to see the island, our second island on Grand Line. We should be careful, Vivi pauses as she looks at Luffy. I'm worried about what Miss All Sunday said about this island. Why you don't think there are monsters here, do you? Usopp asks, looking around frantically. Beats me, Sanji says as he crosses his arms. But we gotta stock up on some food pretty soon. I wasn't able to restock at all at the last town. Sanji, I took some of their stocks when you were asleep, it's in my room. Luffy says as he grins at him. Wait, even if you restocked, why the hell is it on your room? Sanji asks, making Luffy pause a little. Well, it's so that I won't sneak in the kitchen and steal some food, I'll just have to cook it and I won't be able to bother you. Luffy says as Sanji looks at him before nodding. That's okay, but I'll take some if I need to, Sanji says while Luffy nods. But man, just look at this place. Zoro pauses as he looks around. It's like a land yet to be explored by people. The entire island is a thick jungle. I can't say I see anything that would deserve such a cute name like that though, Sanji says as he puffs out smoke. So this is Little Garden, Usopp says shakily as he looks around frantically in fear. Just what about this island is little? Nami says as she pauses, looking at a plant that has a twirling end. And look, I've never seen plants like these even in my encyclopedia. Luffy, you said you traveled in Grand Line before, right? Zoro pauses as he looks at Luffy, who nodded. Did your log pose pointed here or not? Well, I used Eternal Pose to go to Alabasta, then I used log pose for the rest. Luffy says as Vivi looks at him as if he had two heads. I never knew that, and how were you able to get an Eternal Pose? It comes with a really high price. Vivi asks as everyone looked at Luffy, who just shrugged. I have my own ways. Gyaw, gyaw. A horrible sound was heard while Luffy just stood there, grinning as if he heard nothing. Kyaaa. Nami shouts in fear as she hides behind Luffy, hands on her ears. What was that just now? Nami shouts as she goes to her original place now that the sound was gone. Terrified Nami Swan is so cute. Sanji swooned as he grins. Don't worry, it's just a normal bird. And even on this island, is nothing but your average jungle. Oh, how wrong he was. I don't think so, Luffy says as he looks at the bird with a lizard or dinosaur face. He goes down towards Going Merry and flew up when it was close and banging on it. Does this sound like your average jungle? Nami shouts as Sanji only looked normal and Vivi to be a little bit surprised. That sounded like a volcano exploding or something, Usopp shouted as he placed his hands on his ears. A loud growl of a tiger was heard on the right side of the Going Merry, causing them to look at it. A tiger? Nami shouts in fear before seeing the tiger fall down with its own blood. Nami turns to them with a horrified face. This is definitely not normal. Otherwise, why would a tiger, king of the jungle, collapse covered in its own blood? Usopp nods, his hands crossed. Alright, then it's decided. We are to not set foot on this island. Let's just quietly wait on our ship, and leave the very second our log pose finishes recording. Nami pauses as she smiles a little on her idea. After all, we had to hurry on to Alabasta as soon as possible. Sanji. Luffy pauses, a large grin on his face. Prepare a lunchbox. Sanji looks at him. A lunchbox? Yeah, a pirate lunchbox, Luffy says eagerly as he leans on the railing as if it was stopping him from running. I smell adventure ahead. Nami runs to Luffy, shaking Luffy's vest with her two hands. Wait just a second, where do you think you're going? Luffy gives Nami an insanely bright grin. On an adventure? She, wanna come along? Nami turns to cry. Oh no, it's too late to stop him, he's too fired up. Sanji, prepare my lunchbox, Luffy yells as Sanji goes to the lounge. Alright, just hang on a moment, Sanji says calmly with no excitement. Luffy could I come along with you? Vivi asks as Luffy turns to her with a thumbs up. Sure, Luffy says as Vivi smiles in return. Even you? Nami shouts in disbelief. Vivi turns to her. Yes, just standing around here doing nothing is only going to end up making me think about my worries again. Vivi pauses, so I may as well try to clear my head until the log pose finishes recording. Vivi turns to Karoo. It'll be fine. Luffy and Karoo will be by my side, after all. Karoo turns to her with a gobsmacked expression. Nami sweat drops. Your trusty bodyguard looks too scared to even quack. Then allow me to make a lunchbox of love for you, Vivi-chan, Sanji says with excitement, unlike some time ago. Could you also make another drink for Karoo as well? Vivi asks with an excited smile. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Alright. Luffy and the two jumps to land. Let's go. We'll be back. Vivi shouts as she turns to the others. Karoo follows Luffy, who looked too ecstatic for the adventure. That Miss Wednesday's got some guts. Usopp says after the three was out of their sight. I guess it's expected of one who infiltrated Baroque Works. Nami says as her respect for Vivi skyrocketed. Well, since I'm not doing anything either, Zoro pauses, exercising his neck, I'll go for a walk. A walk? Usopp yells in disbelief while Zoro ignored him and jumped out of the ship. Yo Zoro, wait, Sanji shouts, running to the railing. Zoro turns to hear Sanji out. We're running out of food on board, so if you see any animals that look to be edible, can you hunt it down and bring it back? Sanji says while Zoro just turned. Sure thing. I'll go hunt for some animals that you'd never be able to kill yourself, Zoro says while Sanji had a tick of annoyance in his forehead. Wait right there, Sanji shouts while Zoro just turned to him once again with a serious face like he always has, but with the serious aura. Huh? Zoro says while Sanji looked at him angrily. Did I hear you wrong, or did you just imply that you could hunt a bigger game than I can? Sanji says slowly while Zoro just puts his hands on his pockets. Isn't that obvious? Zoro says while Sanji raised his left leg to jump out of challenge you at hunting. Sanji shouts as he jumps out. Why does everyone on this ship have to be like that? Nami says shakily as she cries. Whoever brings back the most kilogram of meat will be the winner, Sanji shouts while pointing at Zoro challengingly, going to the right. Fine by me, though in my case, it'll be tons of meat. Zoro sneered as he goes to the left side. I know exactly how you feel, Nami. Don't cry, at least I'm by your side. Usopp says shakily, also crying. By the time Zoro and Sanji left, the two looked at each other, aw. Why can't you be a little more dependable? Usopp says, once again crying. That's my line. Nami shouts in anger as the two falls to the floor. Wait a second. Usopp says as he becomes interested. I feel like I've read this in a book before. Nami pauses, slightly frowning. I'm sure I've heard of it. Heard of what? Usopp asks while looking at Nami. Of Little Garden. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Hey, check this out. I found an ammonite. Luffy shouts as Vivi looks at him weirdly. Ammonite, aren't they extinct? Vivi asks while looking at Luffy, who grinned at her. Yep. Luffy says while Vivi made a shocked face. Have an idea what kind of island this is now? O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Not this. Nami says while the books fall down. Not that. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Karoo makes a shocked face while Luffy just grinned at what he was seeing. Whoa. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Where'd I put it? Nami pauses, frantically looking for the book. I know I read it pretty recently, shoot, I can't remember. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. That's one big dinosaur. Luffy says while grinning. He has seen tons of book from his former life so he knew what kind of dinosaur it was, but he decided to stay quiet. A dinosaur. Vivi shouted in disbelief while Vivi's sweat forms. That means this is a prehistoric island. You just figured that out? Luffy says in amusement while Vivi ignored him. This island's still stuck in the age of dinosaurs. Vivi pauses, because of the difficulty in navigating from one island to another on Grand Line. Foreign interaction is rare, giving rise to unique cultures in each land. Vivi says, her tone mixed with fear but at the same time, with interest. And so, this island is one such product of Grand Line's chaos. It's an island trapped back in the age of dinosaurs. That's a great explanation and all, but you gotta hide your interest or Igaram will kill me for infecting you with one of my personality. Luffy says while riding the Apatosaurus. Don't ride on it. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Usopp. Usopp. Nami shouts, the book in her hand. What, did you found the book? Usopp asks, a little uneasy at Nami's horrified expression. We're in trouble, on this island. Nami wasn't able to finish her sentence as a loud crack was heard. Nami and Usopp turned to see a large shadow that almost reaches the large trees. A-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-G-Y-A-A-A-A-A-A to its inhabitants. This island is like a little garden, an island of giants, little garden. That is what I have decided to name this island. Explorer Louis Arnaud how Luffy's grandpa knew he time traveled. Grandpa, look, I'm strong enough to beat the monkeys, young Luffy says proudly, even though he knew he can do it, as he stares at his grandpa. Da ha 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 ha. You're already growing up, Garp says as he laughs once again. Luffy just defeated 5 monkeys at ease. Garp thought that it would take a while, but it seems he was wrong. "It's all because of your training, Grandpa," Luffy says happily as he hugs Garp. It's been such a long time since the eye-tearing day, and currently, his brothers were glaring at Garp, except Corazon, who was sleeping beside Law, forgetting all Luffy's attention. "Dahahaha, damn right, so don't forget the pain I ever gave you, got it?" Garp says as he ruffles Luffy's hair with a grin. Garp soon stands up, confusing Luffy. "It's already late since you finished the training earlier than I expected. Let's go back to the hut and eat." "Meat," Luffy automatically shouted as he ran towards the hut, leaving his grandpa, Corazon, and brothers behind. Opopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopopop What's wrong? You're eating slower than usual. Ace says as he looks at Luffy with worry. Luffy, though, was shocked. He ate as fast as he was normally and now he knows that Ace was too observing. She. I just feel. Luffy was cut off and got carried by Ace. Luffy's feeling sick. He's sick, Ace shouts in panic as everyone dropped their food and also started to panic. I haven't said anything yet. Luffy thought as he sweat dropped. I'm not sick, I was just thinking some stuff. That made things worse as everyone was more shocked. Luffy was thinking. My little grandson wouldn't think. Who are you and what did you do to my cute grandson? Did Law replace Lou's brain? I didn't. I certainly wouldn't. Still, this is a shocking discovery. Maybe there's more than of what I've seen. Luffy glared at Law playfully. The joke Law made was really offending. I'm alright, so don't worry and freak out. I'm just growing up, that's all, Luffy shouted in anger. Well, it made things more complicated. No, I don't want my little Lou to grow up, old man. Can you call a witch to make Luffy stay the way he is? I don't know any witches, but maybe we could learn it and make my cute grandson stay the way he is. If you make him stay the way he is, I'm sure I'd replace his brain one day. Luffy, once again, glared at Law, who looked at him smugly. Luffy was starting to get irritated. He wouldn't want to lash out, but at the same time he wants to smack them for being stupid. Shut up, Luffy shouts in anger as everyone got quiet. Whoops, he just took out a little bit of Haoshoku haki. Garp looked at him in shock, meeting Luffy's also shocked eyes. The others got quiet as they felt it, though they don't know what it was. Luffy grabs Garp's hand and starts running, making everyone return to their senses. Wait, Lou? Where are you two going, Luya? O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Luffy, where did you learn? Garp couldn't finish what he was saying as he was too shocked. Luffy sighs and sits on a rock, making Garp also sit. I'm from the future. Luffy says bluntly, not giving Garp any time to be prepared. What? Garp says quietly as he pauses first before laughing. Dahahaha. I never knew you could make jokes now. Luffy. Garp looks at Luffy, who wore a blank stare. You're joking, right? Garp asks as he himself was unsure. No, I'm not. I'm from the future. Luffy says again. This time though, Garp fainted, leaving Luffy amused. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Garp woke up in a futon, making him sigh in relief. So it all was just a dream. Garp stands up, going outside. Garp grins in pride as he finds his little cute grandson sparring and getting food, though. Luffy grins rather weirdly at him for a second, making him shocked. What if it wasn't a dream? Luffy, come here for a second. Garp says as Luffy gets closer to him, ignoring the three kids who were glaring at him for taking their cute little Lou away. Yep, I came from the future. Luffy says straightforwardly, not caring if Garp just woken up. He didn't want to leave anything as a dream. Garp gave him a gobsmacked face before fainting once again, leaving Luffy amused once again. His brothers gave him a questioning look. What was that? Ace asks while Luffy shrugs before sparring with them once again, leaving the fainted Garp to the Marines who took him in a quite frantic way. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Garp once again woke up. Garp notices he was in a different place. It was slightly. Garp runs and opens the door with force, making the crew surprised. Why are we sailing away? Garp asks calmly, which was weird. Sir, we got a call from the headquarters and the poor Marine wasn't able to finish as he was punched in the jaw by Garp. We're going back. Garp shouts as his crew tries stopping him. It was no dream, and he had to ask Luffy a lot of things. But sir, they said another poor Marine couldn't finish as he was punched in the jaw too. I don't care, and thus, the poor crew were holding off Garp for a day. Nami and Usopp should be with Brogy right now, Luffy thought as he looks around. I'd sure like to eat lunch up here. Luffy says as the dinosaur kept munching on the grass with a blank face. Oh, there are volcanoes. Luffy pauses as he spots the dinosaurs Brogy and Dory once took out, and also 2 large dinosaur bones. Get down, Luffy Nissan, it's too dangerous. It may seem docile but it's still a dinosaur. Vivi shouts as Luffy laughs. It's fine, this kind of dinosaur is a herbivore. Let's go check the. Before Luffy could finish his sentence, the dinosaur flips him and eats his whole body when he was finished with the grass. Ah. Luffy Nissan. Vivi shouts as she turns white, including Karoo. The two watched in horror as the dinosaur chomped and gulped Luffy. At the same time, the dinosaur's neck gets cut in half by a giant, showing Luffy, while Vivi fell to her knees while Karoo was knocked unconscious. Gegyagyagya. Dory, a giant, laughs as he held Luffy in his left hand. Aren't you a lively one? I haven't had any guests for a long time. Dory is a well-built giant with a long beard. He generally dresses in a Viking attire with a helmet that goes over his eyes. He is so large that Luffy can fit in the palm of his hand. He is 158 years old, before time skip, which means that he is a giant in the prime of his life. Oh, an Elbaf warrior. Luffy shouts in fake surprise while Dory laughs. Indeed I am. Gegyagyagya, I'm Elbaf's strongest warrior, Dory. Dory shouts as Vivi looks stunned. It's a giant, Vivi says softly, not having the strength for a louder voice. This is my first time seeing one, though I have heard rumors about them. Let me invite you folks to my place, Dory shouts with a smile, looking at Vivi and Karoo at the process. Ah, Vivi says as she flinches, he spotted me. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O while in Brogy's place, Nami and Usopp sits in a wood. In front of them was Brogy, a giant who dresses in a Viking costume, which consists of a red overall with golden button straps, fur linings, a leather strap around his right shoulder and another as a belt, yellow pants with black stripes and fur linings at the bottom, yellow shoes, and a red helmet with 2 horns. Brogy has a blonde beard shaved like an axe's blade, beady eyes, a wide grin, and a pig-like nose. There, it's all cooked up, Brogy says as he offers the dinosaur who bit him a while ago to Nami and Usopp. We're not hungry, Nami says as the two sat in a stiff position. Nami and Usopp were found by Brogy when the two was at the ship, explaining of the large shadow they saw and how they were at Brogy's place. Pissed. There are skeletons all around us, Usopp whispers to Nami, looking at the skulls in horror. I know, Nami whispers back as she sees one of the skull clacks going down. No need to decline out of modesty. Eat as much as you want, dinosaur meat's especially delicious, you know. It seems we're going to be eaten too, Usopp whispers, the two crying comically. It's fine, we're not up for much of a meal. Usopp and Nami chorused as the two lost hope. It's only too obvious that he's trying to fatten us up so he can enjoy human meal. We're too young to die. Nami pauses her whispering. But maybe that's the best time to eat humans. Nami looks at Brogy in fear. Mr. Brogy, may I ask you one question? What is it, girl? Brogy says as he chomps the side of the meat at ease. How long does it take for the log pose to finish recording on this island? Usopp asks while Brogy looked at them with his ever-so-present grin. 1 full year. That struck the two as they fell comically, so take it easy while you're here. Gabababababa, Brogy adds, ignoring the two's tears. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O while at Dory's home. Luffy and Dory laughs while eating food. This is really good, Dory-san. Luffy says as he munches the huge dinosaur meat, leaving it half. G-E-G-Y-A-G-Y-A-G-Y-A-G-Y-A. And your little pirate lunchbox is pretty good too. Dory says back, making Luffy laugh while eating, resulting in him unchocking. You bet it is. Luffy says between his pants after gulping the food down, I would have kicked your ass if you said it tasted bad. Gya, Dory laughs, slapping at the floor, aren't you a funny one? While on the sidelines, Karoo slurps what was on the small barrel and Vivi look at surprise but with fear. They're getting along so well. But Dory-san, you have Elbaf to live in, so why are you here? Luffy asks, remembering what happened and felt himself clutching the meat quite tightly. I do, I'm surprised you know about it, Dory says, yet continues, it's located somewhere on Grand Line, but my village has a certain law. Luffy stops eating, trying to look interested as if he didn't know about it yet. If a quarrel breaks out in my village and you can't settle it on your own, then we beseech our god Elbaf for his judgment. Dory pauses, Elbaf is just and bestows divine protection on those in right. He'll ensure the survival of the righteous. I've gotten involved in a quarrel myself, and so this island has served as the battleground between me and a certain other giant. The one who's in the right shall triumph and survive. Dory laughs. But it's been 100 years since. We just can't seem to settle our duel. Gegyagyagya. Maybe God Elbaf doesn't want you two to die, Luffy says as he shrugs. I'm surprised that you're not surprised that it's been 100 years. You're really an eccentric one, Dory says, pausing. But we never know if God Elbaf doesn't want us to die, so the two of us might as well settle this until we die. But even if you do live longer, how could you still want to fight even after 100 years? Vivi shouts, frowning. Is there any reason in continuing to fight? Vivi pauses, the volcano erupting. You're trying to kill each other, aren't you? Dory's eyes get shadowed, standing up. Looks like it's about time. Dory pauses, not sure when we exactly decided it, but the eruption of that middle volcano is the signal for battle. What, you two can't possibly hate each other so much that you actually want to try and keep on killing each other for over 100 years? Vivi pauses, taking a deep breath. Just what exactly was the cause for your quarrel?
Vivi, Luffy says, shutting Vivi up. It's not about that anymore.
Yes, Dory says, taking his sword. It's about pride now. As he finished, Brogy showed up, his axe in his hands. And we forgot the reason, the two clashes, air going around them strongly, ages ago. A few days ago, while on the certain part of Grand Line, Holiday Island, a man who has a big three-top knot is currently sitting in a beach chair, sipping tea. Mr. 3. A small child that's sitting beside the top-knotted man, calls out the top-knotted man, looking at him. What is it, him? Ah, hold on a moment. The top-knotted man pauses, or who is called as Mr. 3, sips tea. Ah, when it comes to black tea, nothing beats Earl Grey, you know? I'm bored. The small child says bluntly as the paper she's holding flaps due to the wind. You say you're bored, but you're not exactly fond of working either, aren't you? Mr. 3 says, still enjoying his black tea. Yup. The small child says, not giving any emotion on her face. Then why don't you try to enjoy this blissful time away from our duties? Mr. 3 says, sipping tea once again. After all, leisurely enjoying our break is also one of our privileges as an officer agent, you know? And also, would you mind not calling me by my code name so casually in a public place like this? Mr. Point 3 pauses. Otherwise, don't you think people will find out I'm Mr. 3? Mr. 3 is an average-sized man with a rather frail-looking build. Like other male Baroque works, Mr. 3 has his number hidden somewhere on his costume. For Mr. 3 he both has 3s visible on his vest design, upper part of his glasses, and one big 3 achieved through his top knot. He also wears glasses and has neatly combed hair. He is also wearing a log pose on his left. WRHE small child, also called as Miss Goldenweek, has relatively large eyes and circles of blush on her cheeks. She is fairly short in stature and wears her dark red hair tied in braided pigtails. Her attire consists of a wide-brimmed pink hat with a green band, a dark blue t-shirt with the word "Golden" written on it in orange, a sky blue cloud-patterned button-down shirt, a maroon-colored overalls skirt with the top folded down, blue striped stockings, and big red shoes with white cuffs and white soles. By the way, Mr. 3 pauses, resting his head on the chair, looking at Miss Goldenweek with his left eyebrow raised. You've been staring intently at that paper for the past few days. What is it exactly? An order from the boss, Miss Goldenweek says, showing the paper in front of him with a blank face. Can't you tell me that sooner? Mr. 3 shouts in anger, having a tick of annoyance in his forehead. Mr. 3 takes a sip of his Earl Grey as he looks at the paper. It seems Mr. 5 has been beaten. Mr. 3 pauses. Oh, don't you wish if somebody were to be beaten it'd be Mr. 2? Then we could be promoted, Miss Goldenweek says as she still keeps her calm and laid-back face. Well, if only Mr. 5 has been beaten, the matter is nothing to panic about, don't you think? Mr. 3 pauses. After all, that man is just an overconfident fool who overestimates his abilities. No matter how powerful one's devil fruit ability is, Mr. 3 sips the whole tea, his head tilted on top. Without the talent to use it effectively, one will forever be a useless bum. Mr. 3 puts his cup back on his table, showing his serious face. A brilliant criminal uses his brilliant intellect to carry out his objectives, you know. Why don't we go and teach them the terror of antagonizing a criminal organization? At the present, Brogy almost slashes Dory's helmet, the two grinning even with bruises on their body. Don't you long for our home, Dory? Brogy asks as they kept exchanging blows. That's exactly why I'll crush you today and leave for Elbaf at once, Brogy, Dory yells as he shouts a war cry, thrusting his sword. Brogy jumps, dodging the sword. Sir ya! Brogy shouts, pulling his large axe down to hit Brogy in the head. Ah! Nami shouts as she covers her eyes in fright. Dory takes the axe in the helmet, sliding off before it hits him just a few centimeters. He took it right on the helmet. Usopp shouts as scratches his head in fright, crying comically. If he received that blow just a few centimeters off, it'd have meant instant death. Usopp falls to the ground as the two kept fighting, the trees being cut at the same time. What a fight. All of their attacks are aiming for each other's vital points to kill with one blow. And they've been fighting like this for over 100 years, Nami says in disbelief after taking her hands off her eyes. But it's good for us. Nami stands up, looking at Usopp with her hands reaching out to Usopp. This is our chance to escape. Let's go, Usopp. Wow, Usopp says as he focuses on the battle with amazement. Usopp, Nami says while Usopp ignores her. The reason? I forgot that long ago, gabababa. Even without any reason, they fight like this, Usopp says as he watches the two clash, crossing his arms.
God, what a nuisance they are, Nami says while Usopp frowns.
You fool. This is what a man's fight is, Usopp says as Nami looks at him questioningly. What? Nami says, her tone almost saying as if she was offended. Let's say that there's a metaphorical flag raised in their hearts. And those flags are more important than their very lives. Usopp pauses. They don't want their flags to be broken no matter what, and so, to protect that flag, they continue this fight for over 100 years. Usopp grins at them while Brogy and Dory clash their two weapons. Can't you see? This is a real battle of pride, between two warriors. Well, I'm not interested in any of that stuff, so I'm going to take off, Nami says as she raises her hands and turns away. I'm going to stay here a bit longer and watch, Usopp says as his eyes never left the fight. This is it. This is what I meant by a brave warrior of the seas. I want to become a proud warrior just like them. Nami looks at him before sitting at the tree and sighing, HMPH, so you want to become a giant, huh? Did you listen to anything I just said? Usopp says as he stomps his foot in anger and shock. If there's a village full of warriors like them, I'd sure like to visit it one day, Usopp finishes with a grin. Brogy dodges the sword in his neck, cutting it up just a little, while Dory dodges Brogy's axe near his head. The two falls on the force, still going up, slamming their shields at each other's head. 73,466 fights, and 73,466 draws. The two finishes as they fell on the ground with a thud, their surroundings completely destroyed. Gababababa, hey, Dory, Brogy starts as he laughs with blood spitting. I got some rum from guests. Excellent, I haven't had rum for so long, Dory shouts, also spitting blood from his laugh. Pour me some, will ya? Gegyagyagya. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Gegyagyagya. Dory laughs, 3 rum on his hands. Ah, could his guests be your crewmates? He said his two guests were a long-nosed man and a woman. That must be Usopp and Nami, Luffy chirped as he also drinks rum. What's with them? They made such a fuss about not leaving the ship, too. Maybe those two really do like adventures. Then I guess I should be thanking you two as well for these drinks, Dory says, laughing too. Luffy stops laughing and makes a serious face, making the two stop. Not quite, Luffy says while he stands up, reaching his hands out. Can I check the 3 rum? My instincts are saying there's danger. Luffy lies while the two looked at him questioningly. Okay, Dory says, putting the 3 on the ground while looking at Luffy curiously. Luffy opens the 2 rum as the first one was opened. Luffy frowned and spilled the second and third one on the ground, the two widening their eyes in surprise. Bomb. What? There's no way the two. Vivi stops while Luffy shakes his head. There's someone else. Someone must have sneaked onto the ship to put a bomb on the rum. Luffy says while Dory's face darkens. Then that person must have been a coward. How dare that person not fight equally? I must check if Brogy is fine, Dory says, getting up but Luffy stopped him. No, the person must be quite smart. He must have planned something more complex, Luffy says while Dory looks at him for a while before nodding and sitting down, Vivi coming to him in the process. I'll hear it out, but be fast, Dory says as he was quite impatient. His friend might be in danger for all he know. The two of you has a bounty, quite high if I may say so. That person must have planned to kill the both of us since the 3 of us have high bounties. They placed one at mine too, since it tasted bad. Luffy says while the 2 of them almost panicked. But it's okay, I'm made of rubber. He must have planned to make you weak, and have Brogy finish you off while some of his accomplices take us down. Of course, one of them must have been intelligent. Luffy says while he feels some of them close by. I see, Dory says, the volcano's eruption cutting him off. It's about time. Don't worry, Luffy reassures, making Dory look at him. I'll make sure those enemies wouldn't interrupt your battle. Karoo and I will also look for them, Vivi says since she hated being useless. Karoo quacked and nodded. Thank you, little ones. That's a great help, Dory says while grinning, taking his sword with him. Just a little while ago at Brogy's place, a brave warrior of the seas. Brogy questioned, a grin plastered on his face but curiosity in his eyes. What's that? It's someone like you. I want to become just like you too one day, Usopp chirped, a grin plastered in his face. A giant? Brogy questioned as he raised one of his eyebrows. His EYND it practically says, what? No, that's not what I mean, Usopp says with a tick of annoyance in his forehead while Nami laughs. I want to live proud and honorably, just like the warriors of Elbaf, Usopp says with a grin and thumps his right hand, that is curled into a fist, where his heart is located. Gabababa, I see, Brogy shouts as he finally gets it. We giants have much longer lifespans than you humans, and as such, we wish nothing more than an honorable death. After all, one's fortunes or life is all bound to come to an end one day. To a warrior of Elbaf, to die without tarnishing one's pride is what we mean by an honorable death. Our pride alone never comes to an end. It's an eternal treasure that's passed on through the lands of Elbaf. So your pride is your treasure, Usopp says, his eyes filled with amazement and awe. A while ago, somewhere deep in the jungle, a brown dinosaur spots a white box-like place with an entrance on the side. The dinosaur bites the side, only to find his teeth cracking and falling down. He looks at it questioningly while feeling the pain. "Move it, you big fat lizard," a familiar man's voice says with anger while the dinosaur looks at him. "Leave it to me," another familiar woman says while flying in the air on top of the dinosaur, who looked up. 10,000 kg press. The woman falls down, the dinosaur falling to the ground with its body buried on the ground. The woman hops and ignores the dinosaur, following the man who opened the door to enter. "Ah, so you've returned. Have you, Mr. 5? Mr. 3 says while he was casually reading and Miss Goldenweek was sleeping in the side. "HMPH, an impressive little ability you got there, instantly crafting a hideout in these jungles." Mr. 5 pauses, his hands on his pockets. "Let me make one thing clear to you right now. This mission is still ours to complete, so I'd appreciate it if you didn't interfere. We won't make the same mistake twice," Miss Valentine says with a small grin on her face. "Mistakes? That's a little off, isn't it?" Mr. 3 says while looking at the two. "You failed because you were weak." "What?" the two shouted in anger and surprise. "It's because we carelessly let our guards down." Miss Valentine's pauses, getting angry each second. "We had no idea the princess would have pirate escorts." "Had no idea. HMPH. What childish excuses you to resort to, don't you think? Might I remind you that we are professionals?" Mr. 3 pauses, huffing at their excuse. "To lose to our enemies is an act as shameful as revealing our organization's existence to the general public. The mission we undertake must be accomplished perfectly with no careless mistakes, you realize? However, considering you successfully managed to tail our targets to this island, I shall grant you with 30% of the pay for this mission." Mr. 3 makes a serious face. "But if you still wish for me to not interfere, I'm afraid I'll have to take some actions as to have you two never interfere with me again." Mr. 5, Miss Valentine. The two scowls, the two grunts inhaled anger. Mr. 3 takes the long teapot in the table and pours tea at the 2 cups that was left. "HMPH, no need to make such a scowling face. Help yourself to some of this black tea. There is a most fortuitous opportunity for us on this island. An opportunity to make such an enormous sum of money that we need not fight over it. I'm sure you've already seen what I'm talking about, haven't you?" "Opportunity?" Miss Valentine looks at him questioningly. "Take a look at these wanted posters," Mr. 3 says as he takes out 2 wanted posters, and it was Dory and Brogy. "To be honest, even I was completely taken aback when I saw it first. You have my sincerest thanks for giving me this chance to come to this island. These are wanted posters from 100 years ago. There was once a group of giants pirates who pillaged town after town and terrified the entire world. They were called the Warrior Giant Pirates, and the 2 giants who led this fiendish pirate crew are on the very island we're on. Known as Dory the Blue Ogre and Brogy the Red Ogre, their names have long since faded away into mere legends of the past. However, they are still alive." The 2 makes a surprised face while Mr. 3 grins. Not only that, the bounties placed on their heads have not been called off either. Mr. 3 takes his cup and drinks tea. Presently, each one of their heads is worth 100 million belly, and to add 150 million, smoke goes out of his nose with his grin still plastered on his face. In short, 350 million for the 3 of them. 350 million. Mr. 5 and Miss Wednesday chorused while disbelief was all over their face. "Finally, you grasp the gravity of our current circumstances." Mr. 3 pauses, his glasses hiding his eyes. "If we were to succeed in our mission and bring back 350 million on top of that, our promotion are sure to be guaranteed. So that's why you placed the bomb in their rum," Mr. 5 says as a sweat is visibly being seen in his forehead. "Exactly. After all, we would stand no fighting chance were we to face them head-on. You see, all you two need to do is follow my commands." Mr. 3 again pauses. A dark look shows up in his face. "With a little scheming, even an entire mountain can be leveled down to the ground, you know?" Present, the volcano erupts while Brogy pauses for a while before laughing. "Gababa, it's the signal for battle. Ain't today quite exciting?" "You're going to fight, but what about the injuries you just received?" Usopp asks worriedly to Brogy. "Ha, that goes for both him and me," Brogy says as he stands up, laughing. "Gababa, making such excuses in a relentless fight to the death." Brogy pauses. "Would only tarnish one's honor." Dory grips his weapon tightly, a grin plastered on his face. "I know this will greatly affect your battle, but I want you to act weak and let Brogy strike you enough to draw blood and pretend to be unconscious. This is not called cheating, it's called bringing out the black wolf on the sheep's den. That way, the enemies will effectively show up, thinking their plan worked." Luffy says with a grin and a sadistic glint in his eyes. "Those cowards would surely earn their karma. Go give it your all, Master Brogy," Usopp shouts with a grin while Brogy turns to him with his axe on his left dry shoulder and laughs. Gababababa, sure thing. Usopp, I'll get him this time once and for all, Brogy says before turning and starts walking to their battlefield. They sure do like their pointless fighting, Nami says as she sighs, looking at Brogy's back. Don't you dare call it pointless, you ignoramus, Usopp shouts while looking at Nami with a funny angry face, stomping his right foot childishly in the process. In any case, let's return to the ship for the time being. Nami pauses, looking at the log pose. I can't believe it's going to take for a full year for the log to finish recording, it's absurd. Nami turns, closing her eyes thoughtfully. We'll wait for everyone to return to the ship and then plan out what to do. Wait a second. Wait, Usopp shouts, making Nami turn to him. I must announce that I would be utterly useless in fending off dinosaurs, giants, monsters, and the like. Usopp shouts shamelessly with a grin, pointing his thumb at his own self at the process. Therefore, it would be impossible for us to safely make it out of the jungle and back to our ship. Wasn't it just a moment ago when you boldly declared something about becoming a brave warrior? Nami asks while putting her hands midway on the air. Yeah, but the key word is becoming. Usopp pauses, a grin still plastered on his face. I want to eventually be able to take pride in my way of life, but I'm not quite at that stage yet. Fine, since Vivi and Luffy are supposed to be by the other giant's home, let's go meet up with them first, Nami says while Usopp puts his right hand on his chin. One day, no matter what happens, even if I were to die alone on a deserted island, Usopp starts imagining it in his head. I'd look back proudly at my life and as I die, I'll yell, I am Usopp, brave warrior of the seas. Usopp suddenly gets pulled by Nami using Usopp's goggles. That's how my last moments will be. Yeah, Nami pauses, brushing Usopp's speech. Just try to turn into a reliable warrior before we die of old age, okay? Usopp tenses, comically turning into a rock. Yeah. Besides, our captain wouldn't leave us all alone, Nami says before Usopp looks at her before grinning. Yeah, you're right. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Gababababa, Dory, after all this years of drinking only water, the rum must have tasted especially fine, right? Brogy shouts while Dory grinned. Course, it tasted of God, Dory shouted, trying to sound as hoarse as possible. Brogy raises his axe to prepare for an attack. Gababababa, aren't you a poet? Dory pretends to cough, here I come. G-E-G-Y-A-G-Y-A-G-Y-A-G-Y-A. Dory laughs while preparing for the impact. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Luffy knee. Shouldn't we find the culprit now since they might be close by? Vivi asks while Luffy looks at her before grinning and ruffling at her hair. No, let them enjoy their happiness before we break it, Luffy says before leaning at the huge bone. Luffy suddenly looks to his left, narrowing his eyes before silently cursing. Luffy knee, Vivi asks while Luffy turned and grinned at her once again. Vivi, I'm sorry but I have some business to do. Fight if you have to, okay? Luffy says while Vivi hesitantly nods. Luffy turns, his grin completely gone. Why do people have to be in my way? Luffy says silently before he goes to the forest, the darkness engulfing him. Oh, wait, where's Karoo? Vivi asks to no one after seeing Luffy disappear in the darkness. A while ago, psychological disturbances can often greatly influence the course of a battle, you see. Mr. 3 starts, his glasses hiding his eyes. With that explosive gift from an unseen enemy, they're now in a state of confusion. In front of him were Miss Valentine and Mr. 5, listening with a cup of tea on hand. The first target is Dory the Blue Ogre. Though I knew the attack wouldn't kill him, the damage to his stomach is still severe. We no longer need to worry about him. Luckily for us, their little fight has begun as well. It's best to think of this race of warriors as mere boars. As long as we avoid a direct confrontation, they are no real of a threat, you see. Mr. 3 pauses, placing 4 nicely drawn pictures of Nami, Zoro, Luffy, and Vivi. As for these small-time pirates who've learned the boss's secret, starting with the easiest to handle, let us lure them out one by one to my service set. Mr. 3's face darkens, a small grin forming on his face. As my motto goes, the greatest of crimes require cunning, foo. I have many ways to defeat my enemies without actually fighting. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Aw crap. Zoro started while he scratches the back of his head in annoyance. My hockey's not relatively large so I can't detect anyone. I'm low? Zoro pauses, letting go of his prey, which is a triceratops, and looks at the side where he spots a statue that looks identical to Nami. Ha! Thinking that you can beat me with simple tricks like that? Zoro says with a grin, slowly taking out his Watto. TCH. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P
DINOOOOOOO. The two chorused while Usopp suddenly boosted his speed. Wait up.
You're running way too fast. While Usopp's back disappears in Nami's view. Nami pants, taking a break. Geez, that Usopp. Nami looks around to see Luffy, with a grin, and it looked like he was calling out to her. "Aw, Luffy." Nami walks towards to Luffy, only to falter. She might not have known much about hockey, but she can feel a lot of difference, too much. She takes a defensive position, going backwards. Suddenly, a figure suddenly shows upwards, surprising Nami. Kyaaaaaaaaa. Usopp abruptly stops, looking at his back when he heard Nami's shout. Ah! He looks around slowly to see no Nami around. Nami? He looks around while his legs wobble badly. Nami? 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 As his mind accepts the painful and horrid truth. Tears were falling in his eyes at an alarming rate. Oh she! Usopp dashes due to panic, shouting Luffy's name repeatedly. Finally, after running, he trips to a rock, only to faceplant onto a big rock, causing the side of the rock to break. Usopp ignores the blood on his face, rushing to Vivi. Luffy? Where's Luffy? See, calm down, Luffy knee went somewhere. Vivi was cut off by Usopp, who panicked more. Nami was eaten by a dinosaur. Usopp shouts while he falls to the ground, clutching his head in frustration and worry. We were both running away from the dinosaur in the jungle, but she disappeared all of a sudden. Usopp abruptly stands up, shaking Vivi back and forth. What do I do? I just can't let my crewmate die. Wait just a minute here, Vivi says while Usopp stops shaking her but hyperventilates. You said she disappeared all of a sudden, but did you actually go back to see if she was eaten? As if I could, I was scared out of my wits. Usopp pauses, tears still falling from his eyes. If not a dinosaur, then she must have been eaten by some other wild beast. I can't say this for certain, but if Baroque Works agents have tailed us to this island, it would make sense for them to have only attacked Nam-san. Even Luffy knew someone was here, Vivi says while looking at Usopp. Listen, Usopp-san. Luffy knee created a plan, so he must follow it according to the plan. What's the plan? Usopp asks while Vivi opens her mouth to start talking. What's wrong, Dory? Brogy shouts while he keeps his repetitive attacks. You seem to be wincing in pain. Nonsense, I'm fine as always, Dory says while he keeps guarding. Unknown to the two, Mr. 3 was below them. Quite the stubborn one, aren't you, Dory the Blue Ogre? Mr. 3 says while his face darkens. Why don't I give you a helping hand? Dory slides due to the wax. Falling to the ground, he loses balance. The battle is mine now, Dory. Luffy curses as he blood running down his left hand. He looks at corpses that covered the ground with no guilt seen in his eyes. Seems like Flamingo is still looking for my head, Luffy says silently before turning to his enemy's ship. Luffy silently uses Gomu Gomu no Red Hawk, not turning back after burning the ship along with the corpses. After an entire century, Brogy says with a grin, while Mr. 3 was silently celebrating. This fight is over. Dory moves a little, but after the slash, lots of blood went out. He falls to the ground, pretending to be unconscious, bearing the pain. Vivi and Usopp sees the blood, their eyes widening. Luffy sees the blood at the distance. He moves the tip of his hat a little to cover his eyes, yet continues walking. 73,000, Brogy pauses. His axe drips the blood of Dory. 467 fights. Tears fall in Brogy's eyes as he kept his grin on his face. One win. His axe and shield falls down with a clang and thud, then he starts laughing. It must be nice to be such a simple dolt that cries from being too happy, mustn't it? Mr. 3 suddenly says, leaning on a tree with a T. Brogy looks in surprise. Well, I guess I should be first saying, good work. You think these are tears of joy, Brogy says furiously, his grin disappearing. Just what would you know, Brogy pauses, taking a look completely at Mr. 3. Who are you anyways? Mr. 3 looks at him, showing Miss Goldenweek at his side. I am Mr. 3, my apologies for only giving you my code name, I'm a sculptor, you see. Mr. 3 pauses, showing Miss Goldenweek a bit more. And this here is my assistant Miss Goldenweek, a realist painter. Mr. 3's amused eyes turned into a serious one. Furthermore, I must tell you that you have already been entrapped by me. Brogy looks at him questioningly before feeling that he can't move anymore. What is this? Luffy curses again silently. There were more uninvited people coming to the island, and he was sure it was Doflamingo's plan. I should have killed him a long time ago, Luffy thought darkly as he turned to the other direction. As he walked along the way, there were different kinds of monsters that lurked and attempted killing him, though he finished them using Conqueror's Haki. After a few minutes, he reaches them. All of them wore crazed grins. "Go away, you're just wasting my time," Luffy says while all of his enemies stop for a second before laughing. "Ya sure you ain't just scared? You think little scaring's gonna make us pee our pants?" This is what happens when you mess with the Don Quixote pirates. With that, a lot charged at him. Luffy sighs, placing his weight on his right foot. In just 1 second, blood covered the whole place. Fools, do they think they can beat me, Fatuity? Blood was scattered everywhere. Horrible corpses. Some heads were torn apart. Some bodies had missing parts. Some parts inside of the body were lying on the ground, some torn apart. He was by no means a humane person. This is how the people made him to be. AGHH. Viv struggles while Miss Valentine was easily restraining her hands that were positioned in her back quite painfully. Kyahahaha. Be still. Did you really think that the likes of you could seriously escape from BW's grasp? Miss Valentine says with a grin, her tone expressing her sadistic nature. Vivi stops for a second, looking at Karoo who was beaten up badly. Karoo tried so hard to keep Vivi and the others from harm and this happened. Luffy knee. All of a sudden gust of wind came. Vivi closed her eyes because of the impact, but when it stopped, Miss Valentine's was being held by someone in the neck and Mr. Five was lying on the ground, the person's foot on Mr. Five's back to prevent him from going up. And on her eyes, they were beaten up quite badly. Turns out, that person was Luffy. Vivi had to stop herself from gasping and looking at Luffy in fear. Luffy was grinning, yet his complete appearance contradicted his grin. Luffy's clothes were soaked in blood, and so does some of Luffy's uncovered parts. Vivi steps back a little, her eyes showing disbelief. "I'm sorry, Vivi. You had to see me like this," Luffy suddenly says, showing her a sad smile that made Vivi relax. "And no, it's just those blue." Before Vivi could finish her sentence fully, Luffy cuts her off with a bright grin that contrasted his current appearance. "Don't worry about it. Let's just help Usopp and the others," Luffy says as he drops Miss Valentine on the ground after feeling her unconscious, also leaving Mr. Five who was also unconscious. Vivi and Luffy rushed towards Usopp, Luffy tending Usopp's terrible wounds. After finishing, Luffy stands up, making Vivi look up at him questioningly. "We have to save Brogy and Dory, they must have been caught by now." Vivi swiftly stands up and nods at Luffy with a serious face.